Click the title to get the links to the Discord, to send me art, or to support the channel. Star Wars 9, The Rise of the Great White Mary Sue Hope. Hashtag Team Empire. The Empire did nothing wrong. Has feminism ruined Star Wars? I keep trying to take a look at Butcher Queen, but I am a little bit politically incorrect, and I use a lot of hot words that YouTube doesn't like. For example, you couldn't title a video "Short-haired breastless lesbians don't sell books" because YouTube will bury it. Or "Black Writer says that Nazis are bad." How stunning and brave. And if I have to edit my words so carefully, is it even worth doing? Believe it or not, YouTube used to be a lot more fun just a few years ago. Nowadays, YouTube wants cat videos or girls in yoga pants showing you vegan recipes until they get caught eating a cheeseburger, which usually happens. YouTube has no interest in being a free expression platform. That's fine because there are alternative platforms like DLive and BitChute. DLive's the live stream version, and BitChute is just basically YouTube. So YouTube is getting more and more milquetoast and vanilla. Eventually, people will move to alternative platforms simply because all the fun people got kicked out of YouTube and Twitter. People get tired of vanilla, though nowadays that has evolved into vanilla man bad. I was listening to a live stream where people were making the connections between Gamergate, Comicsgate, ethics and journalism, Zoe Quinn, comics, Star Wars, Star Trek, and Doctor Who, which has to take the cake. And the usual suspects all use the same language. Alt-right, toxic masculinity, toxic fandom, incels, misogynists, etc. Just ad hominems from people who can't refute the actual argument. The journalists are terrified when you shine the light on them. They scurry like rats when you mention ethics in journalism, because obviously they have no ethics. They're propagandists who are trying to push far-left ideology. They are so dedicated to their religion of diversity as our strength that they are willing to lose money on woke films like Ghostbusters or Solo. Not that Solo was woke, but The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi were just so far beyond the pale that they poisoned Solo. Which, to be fair, wasn't garbage, it just wasn't good. But The Last Jedi was so bad that people were scared of Solo. Or maybe they wanted to send a message to Disney, which I hope people do for this next film, but I know they won't. Finally, we come to the last Star Wars film, The Rise of the Mary Sue Identity Politics, and bend over fans because you know you'll take it and like it. They know that no matter what kind of woke, diverse crap they push, Star Wars 9 will make billions. It's the last film in the series. People will see it just so they can finish off the series and finally put it to rest. People are eager to see it just to see how bad it is, which is ironic because they'll be making Disney billions. So I predict that Star Wars 9 will do very well. They will be making less profit if the rumors about reshoots are true. They say the initial budget was, I don't know, 250 to 300 million. The reshoots are going to cost 100 million to 200 million. That's going to cut into the bottom line. Some hopelessly naive waifs think that Disney has learned its lesson and wants to actually make a great movie, but they almost can't. After the insane feminist garbage of The Last Jedi, they can't back down. They already made Rey the ultimate Mary Sue. There's no way to fix Star Wars 9. It's going to suck, but Rotten Tomatoes will give it a high score because of the power of the vagina. So why didn't they really commit to the bit and make Rey a trans Guatemalan lesbian with the side of her head shaved? Where is the LGBT plus representation in Star Wars? By now, everyone is on the side of the Empire, Darth Vader and the Emperor. They may have been a little rough around the edges, but at least they weren't ruled by a sexist with purple hair. Plus, the Empire had cooler uniforms. I'll skip the Hugo Boss joke because some people have no sense of humor. Let's take a quick look at bounding into comics. Rumor. Almost the whole of Star Wars, it said 75% needed to be reshot from Doomcock. Is it true? When they tested it, the movie was a complete pile of flopping garbage. So the test audience was not fans. I would love to see what the test audience said about The Last Jedi. Did they immediately feel it was garbage, or did it take them a few minutes after the film closed to figure out, none of this makes sense? Why didn't they do this earlier? I guess it would depend who the audience was. If the audiences were familiar with the original trilogy, they would just look at this film as it's garbage right from the start. The thing is, even kids would look at the way the female commanding officers were talking to their deck crew, their flight crew, and something about that would strike them as wrong. You know, you don't belittle your subordinates. You communicate clearly with them. You don't treat them the way this blue-haired feminist in a evening gown did. That was just bizarre. Okay, so they say they have 6 possible edits, and all of them are garbage. Jar Jar Abrams said this film will not please everyone. Disney flipped out and said this film has to please everyone and redo it until it does. Yeah, you put enough money into this movie, and while you didn't lose money on the last one, the first one, Force Awakens, made I think $2 billion, and the last one did $1.2 billion. So it underperformed by $800 million, and even $2 billion for a Star Wars movie with Disney behind it, that's not a lot of money. It could have made a lot more than that, and to have the second one, effectively The Empire Strikes Back, make almost, 60% of it? That's crazy. That's not very good. But I think the third one is going to make over $2 billion just because people want to see it and just put it in the grave. Just get rid of it. I guess I will probably be one of those idiots who goes to see it just so I can talk about it. Doomcock adds, as source tell them they have soloed the film in reference out of the massive reshoots at Solo. See, the thing is, Solo wasn't as bad as... I don't know how many people are actually saying it was bad, because out of The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, it was a way better movie than those. It wasn't as good as Rogue One, but it was okay. I mean, it wasn't that woke, and there's the gay robot stuff and pansexual, Lando or something. And the thing is, the Landos and the Han Solo characters, they weren't good. They weren't imposing. They weren't impressive. They didn't have the presence of the originals, because there's no... Replacing Harrison Ford would be very, very difficult. There's almost... a few actors, maybe Chris Pratt, when he was younger, could kind of give you some of that kind of lovable pirate rogue. But the guy who played him, I don't know his name, he's just way too short and just way too, he just looks like just a kind of a twink, basically. I suspect the movie is having problems with trying to, no editor, force too much plot into the film, and now they may have the problem they're having to consider splitting the thing into 2 movies. I'll go for it. 2 movies, I assume, would make you more profit than 1 movie, right? Oh, apparently Rey could raise both a Death Star and the dead by the end of the film. Oh, good gosh. Come on. In the prequels, they talked about keeping people from dying. The Emperor talked about that, but it was kind of understood that it was just a myth. You couldn't manipulate the midichlorians to that extent. It was just to kind of get Darth Vader, or, what's his face, on the Emperor's side, so he could convert him to the Darth side. He believes Star Wars and Lucasfilm will attempt to put Luke, Leia, Han Solo on screen together. There's no way she's going to raise them from the dead. There might be like a Force hologram or something. 75% of the movie reshot, he says, is possible. The Star Trek, the motion picture, which was a much better movie than anything Disney's ever done with Star Wars. 1979, I think that was out, and that was kind of a slow movie, but it was good. They did a lot really well with that film. It was only until Star Trek number 2 that they started to make it more action adventure instead of just kind of a slow burn. But it was a good film. Probably wasn't for kids though, not because it was too mature, just because it was too slow for kids. But I enjoyed it, even rewatching it recently. Oh, Star Wars Stormtrooper costumes to be canceled. Anything that triggers the left is okay with me. That's the Hugo Boss joke. We were promised a Star Wars trailer was going to break, and it didn't. Wouldn't the reason for a Star Wars trailer being held up and not breaking mean they still don't know what the effing movie will be? Probably. Disney fears at least they have devalued the Star Wars brand. Well, no poop. Of course you've devalued the brand. You had the golden ticket. You had the goose that laid that egg, and you started to just throw it away with The Force Awakens, and you just destroyed it with The Last Jedi. How does that get past an editor? Doesn't somebody, some adult, someone over 30, look at The Last Jedi and say, look at the script and the way the purple-haired person is treating them, and the idea of running a spaceship using the light speed method? doesn't anyone say, well, that doesn't make sense in the Star Wars universe, because if this worked, they would simply have done it in the prior 6 films. Oh, okay, maybe we should rewrite this. Yeah, maybe you should get back to work. I mean, have you guys seen the films? You can't violate the rules, the internal rules of a movie. But they did. They did. And the whole thing about the superior officers treating their subordinates like that. No, you don't have to be in the military to know that that is not how a boss treats employees. That is not how a superior treats their crew. That's not an effective crew. And if you were an employee treated like that, you would just quit. That's not an effective business. Okay, so Rey is going to get the powers to raise Lazarus. Heal or even rejuvenate life. Okay, that's the power of the vagina. So in Dune, they get attacked by the worm. They hurt the creature, and then she raises it back, heals it. Great. So she's, I don't know, Jesus Christ, basically. Oh, this is not going to be good. But it will be fun to see. I wonder, I will try to interview people when it comes out. I guess it's coming out in 2 months, so they better get cracking. I'll try to interview people about what their expectations are before the film and then after the film and see what happens. Okay, so the idea of her, this scene, you look at this scene, this has to be a troll. This has to be a deep fake. There's no way. I would have said there's no way it's possible, but then I saw The Last Jedi and I realized anything is possible with these people. All right, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next episode.